Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and in this video we're talking Cobra Kai Season 6. Part 3 is now here and the series is now at an end. After starting off as a little spin-off on YouTube Red, the show's grown to become a streaming juggernaut. It's been insane watching it grow, but I was always worried they might not be able to close it up in a satisfying way. We of course have a new movie right around the corner that's gonna see Ralph Macchio also playing LaRusso. So it kind of felt like the focus may have shifted to that, but I'm happy to say they managed to stick the landing. Throughout this video, we're going to be going through the ending and also giving our review of the series. So if you enjoy it, please hit the thumbs up and make sure you subscribe for videos like this every week. With that out of the way, thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into Cobra Kai. Okay, so part 2 ended with the Sakai Takai breaking out into pandemonium. After a big performance-enhancing drug scandal, we then had the Sakai Takai tournament changed to a Royal Rumble. Unofficially. During this, Kreese wanted to give Silver a rude awakening, but he realized he'd lost his knife in the fight. Picked up by Quan, he ended up being stabbed by it during a fight against Axel. This highlighted the self-destructive nature of Cobra Kai and how a selfish nature can often lead to defeat. Instead, we must recognize the strength that others can provide and work together in order to succeed. That's something I feel part 3 builds upon, and we begin with the Sakai Takai being cancelled. However, Silver convinces Gunther to restart the competition and honor Quan's legacy continuing the tournament. It sort of builds off what we learned about Mr. Miyagi and how he also killed someone during the tourney. This made him turn his back on competitive combat, though he regained that in LaRusso. That was Miyagi's legacy, and it's something Daniel's tried to honor. Now, throughout the series, Daniel's been worried there was a darker side to his mentor. However, we learn that the necklace he stole actually belonged to his mother. His father gave it to him to sell in case he ever needed money. However, he gave it to his wife, but she sadly passed away at an internment camp. The gods stole it, and thus Miyagi took it back. The hard way. It recontextualizes everything though and places Danny's doubts to the side. The idea of death and legacy also builds into Silver's motives. We learn that he's terminally ill and with no wife or kids, all he has is his legacy. Thus he wants to be remembered and respected for what he did. Legacy also plays into Kim's motives and she ends up killing her grandfather. Kreese then leaves and does an apology to her, which had me tear up a bit. Like him apologizing for abusing Johnny in the car park while in that car park got to me a bit that. In the end though, I really feel like the series tops off what it's always been about. That is adding a new perspective to Cobra Kai that evolves it for the better. Under Kreese's leadership, it had become violent and hateful, with it rewarding the worst characteristics. This was then pushed to an even worse extent with Silver, who wanted to take this hateful mind state worldwide. The Sakai Takai, of course, also offered that platform. However, teaming up with LaRusso has made Johnny realize how to make it grow. Everything is about balance, and it's a theme that repeats throughout Eastern philosophy. Yin and Yang is of course a prominent message, and even the colors in the show reflect this. Miyagi-Do dons white, and on the flip side, Cobra Kai wears black. In the end, the two dojos will train the students in different mind states so they can truly conquer both teachings. Johnny and Daniel have put their differences to the side, and in working together, they've managed to build champions. So it's important to get this perspective of balance, and that's what really comes up at the end. Before that though, the competition goes to the valley, and we take the show back to its roots. They definitely filmed part 2 in Barcelona and didn't just do some outside scenes then and do the rest of it in LA. Definitely not. So it is nice to return here. It's here where the characters of course all live their lives and they grew as people. Not only do they create something new in their mentalities, but we also have new things blossoming. Johnny proposes and we also see the birth of his daughter. There's lots of things that feel like a trip down memory lane, including Daniel dreaming of Mr. Miyagi beating up skeleton costume hoods in the dojo. This of course calls back to the first film, as it's what he witnessed at the school party. The CGI, it is a little off on Miyagi, but to be fair, the emotion's there and it's a poignant moment of growth. Going back to the competition though, we see things heating up. Robbie is badly injured, and though he goes out on his back, he's content with all the things karate's given him. It's a really emotional moment that shows it's important to recognize your wins in a loss. Silver cheated, and though he got a small victory, he really loses in the end. So I feel like it's an important moment of growth for Robbie, and you know, though it's not the champion all guns blazing ending that you thought you might have got. To me, it really shows that he's grown as a character. Now, who else this reflects nicely is Sam, and she decides she's no longer fighting. Rather than being disappointed though, her father's in fact proud. He knows that the greatest fight's realizing you don't need to fight at all, which is such a great lesson in the end. Karate, like karate and fighting, it's pretty much destroyed their lives at this point, so it's important to take the fact you can walk away from a fight as well. This is something we see later reflected in Axel, who says he doesn't want to win if it's overly aggressive. Lewis goes to tan him, and yeah, they've been beating on him throughout. In the end, the guy makes a choice for himself, and it's great when even the villains, they can even redeem themselves. Anyway, in beating Robbie, what it means is that Miyagi-Do are no longer in the fight, and that Silver, that bloody Silver, he's bloody gonna win. How that Johnny doesn't know how not to fight, and after a heartfelt moment with Kreese, he's given a new opportunity. Kreese hands the reins of Cobra Kai back to Johnny, and he then enlists Miguel. This means he can go on to fight for the dojo that started everything off. Gonna be honest, yeah, when they said it, mate, I got goosebumps, and I was so happy they took this turn. Daniel even gets Johnny back the original training ground, and though he thinks Cobra Kai's a negative way to train, that Johnny's actually a positive influence. Having someone he can trust doing it will help it going forth, and Johnny's Cobra Kai will be known as champions. He'll be the sensei that did it and be a shining beacon of hope. In the end, Tori faces against Zara from Iron Dragon while Miguel goes against Axel. Tori initially struggles, hitting the living tornado, but after Robbie says he loves her, she goes on to whip her ass. No f***ing mercy. Tori ends up beating Zara, and welcome to the valley, bitch. Which I was sat there thinking, is that an Independence Day reference? I don't know, but yeah, the one-liners they pull out like Cobra Kai never dies. Unlike Silver, they ham it up, but it works really well. Now we end the tournament with Miguel versus Axel, and the pair being opposites in many ways. Miguel shares love with Sam, whereas Axel's had to focus on the competition. I think love has been a driving thing in the series that's been reflected in lots of characters. Whether it's Johnny and Carmen, Robbie and Tori, Miguel and Sam, and hell, even Chosen and Kim, it's all been about getting through things together. Now, the fight between Axel and Miguel is rough for the latter. However, he's able to conquer Axel in the end after channeling everything he's gone through. I love the way they reuse moves from throughout the seasons and had them replace certain fight scenes from over the years. What feels great is that Axel also makes a choice too, deciding that he won't be used as a tool by angry and selfish people, just out for glory for themselves. He kinda holds back at points. He leaves his sensei once and for all and walks away from the abusive and hateful path that was basically an alternate Cobra Kai. Though you think it's over, there is a twist, and due to the two sides drawing, their senseis have to fight. It's a bit ridiculous, but also I'm like, yep, glad they did it. LaRusso becomes Johnny's sensei once more, while Silver attempts to cheat for the last time, ordering Johnny's family to be threatened. I swear it's not that deep. Luckily though, Kreese ends up taking out his heavy. Don't know how he snuck on board, but it just kind of kills me. He was lying below the decks, waiting for them to talk, and then going up on the deck to smoke a cigar after he kicked a guy down the stairs. The pair then fight it out, and I think there might be a stuntman there, mate, because his hair's changed colour about 40 times. Spilling some gasoline onto the boat though, the pair then go out with a bang. It's a big send-off for the two, and though it's way over the top, I really f***ed with it. Throughout life, both have been dedicated to karate in a very big way, so it just makes sense that their deaths are big and bombastic too. That then takes us to the finale, which, along with the training montage, sees them using "You're the Best" by Joe Esposito. That is, of course, from the original films, and it feels like the perfect song to use for this last montage. They call back to several classic training moments from the franchise, and even give a little nod to Rocky. We also see that Tori and Robbie are offered jobs working to promote brands on social media, so it's basically proving to Zara that Tori isn't a nobody. Anyway, it all leads to Johnny versus Wolf, who constantly fights dirty. Don't know why he's not like, damn, Silver and Kreese just blew themselves up, but everyone's focused on the match. Just forget about it. Although Johnny's getting smashed like the like button, he finds balance in the fight. Reflecting on his loss to Daniel all those years before, he redeems himself from that first film. It brings everything full circle from the leg sweeping, which leads him to victory. Winning the fight, I honestly can't think of a better way to close out his arc in the tournament. He gets the home with his family, Miguel gets into Stanford, and we watch Hawk and Dimitri heading out to Caltech. Tori and Robbie advertise energy drinks that give you diarrhea, and even Kim gets to take her school in a new direction with Chosen. She's chosen a new path, Seems like it's going to go in a positive direction until she gets arrested for murder because you're a murderer. Sam also has an emotional goodbye at the airport, and we see as Cobra Kai's got cues out the door. Stingray makes an appearance, and we also see as Johnny's teaching more than one discipline. Along with Cobra Kai, they'll also learn Miyagi-Do. This new class will blend both sides and give the students a balanced perspective. Cutting to a restaurant, we then hear a pitch for an alternate Back to the Future show. I think. They mention it going down in Hill Valley, Wilson, Thompson, Zane and Crispin, who are all actors that starred in the original. I did wonder if it was kind of playing up how this show was originally pitched, or if like they're announcing a new Back to the Future show. Either way though, we see things haven't changed much with Daniel and Johnny. The latter's still learning about finances, while Daniel's having to guide him. Remembering Mr. Miyagi, we then see as Daniel attempts to catch a fly with chopsticks before Johnny just slaps his hands together. It highlights the two different styles perfectly and cements the balance that the pair will now provide. So it's a perfect way to end things off, and as for my thoughts on the season, I think I mentioned back in our part 1 video that I felt wrong reviewing it when we didn't have the full season. That's why I completely skipped part 2, and though I enjoyed it, it felt incomplete. I think the release schedule kinda messed up the season, as I think watching it all in one go, like I have the last week, it works really well. I think it just brilliantly brings everything together and ties up all the loose ends really well. I wasn't actually expecting them to nail it as much as they did, but it feels like every character gets the right ending. Sure, at points it can be melodramatic because we're talking about karate, but god damn it, they earned those tears I shed. There's lots of massive emotional scenes, and it feels like the true lesson here is about acknowledging your mistakes and using them to improve yourself. That's really what I got from the speech with Tori, but it's something that's echoed throughout the season. Now in the lead up to the season, I was wondering how they'd close things up like the Miguel Robbie rivalry, Tori and Sam, but I don't think I can think of a better way they could have done it. Even stuff like Dimitri going to Caltech, you know, it feels like the best way to send off these characters. It feels true to what they've established in the past and something that builds off the themes of the show. Cobra Kai has never been about mastering your opponents, it's about mastering yourself. I saw this described as being the Avengers Endgame of Cobra Kai, and that's what the season really feels like. The stakes are the highest they've ever been, and the series is filled with lots of nostalgia. However, it's not just cheap gimmicks and cameos, and all these moments service the characters. That's why I feel it excels, and to me it's the best season they've put out. Like even the fight choreography and score, just showing stuff in slow motion, they do it the best they've ever done it. So yes, it's basically the 80s, yes it's a high school Saved by the Bell show, yes it's melodramatic, over the top and cheesy, but it's the best 80s, high schooly, Saved by the Bell, melodramatic, over the top, cheesy show out there. And I am gonna miss it. I am interested to see where they go with the movie, but it'll be difficult for them to impact me as much as this show has. Obviously they have a ton of more time to do that in, but over the years, I've become attached to these characters. I've laughed, I've cried, and I've enjoyed my time as a student of Cobra Kai. So I give this show the highest of recommends, and yeah, if you haven't seen part 3 for whatever reason, then go and check it out. Though I think this was the right time to end it, I'm also sad it's over, which is the best compliment I can give a show, and though it's been no storage wars, yes, looking at you Chosen, I think it's been well worth my time. Now obviously, let me know your thoughts below, as I'd love to read them. Did you know that members of the channel also get early access to videos? If you click the join button, you'll get at least one breakdown a week before anyone else. Costs just 99 cents a month, and we've tried to set it at a price where hopefully it's not a lot to you, but if a lot of you do it, it will mean a lot to us. Works out 3 cents a day. If you want some Heavy Spoilers merch as well, we've also got that located just below the video, and yeah, we drop new designs on there all the time, so definitely keep an eye out. Now if you want something else to watch, you've got a breakdown on screen right now. We are currently covering Invincible, so yeah, if you've been watching that as well, definitely go check it out right after this. With out of the way, I've been your host Paul, you've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.